Hey, it's Kirstin Shaw, and this is my friend Daryl Killian from Atlanta, and we are in front of the brand new generation Toyota Prius for 2023. We got to drive it today.
Great drive.
Great drive. It's very exciting. They've made some significant improvements. We're going to talk a little bit about the exterior. We'll talk about the performance. We'll show you the new interior, and we'll tell you what we like and don't like. Here we go.
It's going to be short on the don't like.
So Daryl, did you know that the new Prius is 2 inches lower, 1 inch longer, and 1 inch wider than the previous generation?
I didn't, but I do now.
Now you know.
And I'll tell you, with this sloping roof line here in the front, I really expected to lose and be compromised, headroom to be compromised here in the front. But I was surprised when I got in and noticed that it gave me that look, but I don't feel like I lost anything on the interior space.
Yeah, it really has a significant angle now over the previous generation. The windshield is sharply raked, and the A-pillar, B-pillar, and C-pillar are all thicker. And maybe that has to do with the reinforced frame. They've made it more rigid for better performance.
Well, so far it handled well on some of these back roads, so if nothing else, they've gotten that part right.
They did. I really think that this car looks good. I like the way the front looks. I really like these angles right here. I like the side, I like the back. I think it just looks like a much better Prius. It's one that people might not be embarrassed to drive if they didn't like the previous gen.
And also with these headlights, I like the way they came up and brought this design in. Very interesting. Makes the car look a lot more expensive than it really is.
It does. It's almost Lexus-ish in its presentation, would you say?
I wonder why.
I wonder why. So, you know, this car also has some Easter eggs. We should talk a little bit about some of those. So I know we pointed out one over here on the windshield. We should show that one's right here in the middle. There's a little car right there.
I saw that. And then I saw the word Prius right here.
Oh yeah.
On the side of the windshield. So maybe that's another one.
I see it. And it's got these vector generators here that Toyota likes to use for aerodynamics. Big time. They used quite a few of those on the new Tundra, and it's something that they like to use. Now, what does that say?
Hybrid Reborn.
Hybrid Reborn. There's another Easter egg.
That's probably the best description I've heard about this car so far today.
Yeah.
Because it is Hybrid Reborn. It really is.
It is. And we should talk a little bit about the performance. So let's head over there and talk a little bit about what's underneath.
There you go. Let's hear these 0 to 60 times.
Okay. All right, so good looks are one thing, but it has to be able to perform as well, right?
Exactly.
And the new Prius has come out guns blazing with 60% more horsepower.
Yeah, when I heard them talk about the 0 to 60 times on a Prius, that's something I've never even thought about. The 0 to 60 in performance on a Prius.
It was almost 10 seconds in the previous generation.
And now we're down to what, 7.2?
7.2,
0 to 60. That's not bad for a car that gets, what, 57 miles per gallon?
Right, and that's why people want a Prius, right? This is a hybrid. It has the best performance for MPGs in the whole United States of any hybrid. But it's also the best for Prius.
It is, and also when you think about it, a lot of people now are trying to go the electrification route, but they don't want to really commit. I would say this would be their best option for, I want to go that way, but I'm not ready to go all in.
Right.
This is a winner for everybody.
And this is the granddaddy of electrification, right? Like people bought Prius as a status symbol, really. And now here's another Easter egg, Hybrid Reborn. This is what we're talking about. This is a whole new Prius. It's really nice to see that they can make all of these improvements to it. Huge improvements. What is now, it's now a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder. The last generation was a 1.8. And what the engineer told me is that it wasn't just one improvement, it was all the different people, all the different parts, increasing just a little bit.
And that's not something you would think about for these cars. But when you're up against the torque and the power of electric vehicles that people are going to be comparing it to, I think this will give it a little bit of an edge because I still have the ability to put gas in here, but I do have the longevity of, I get 57 miles to a gallon of gas.
Right.
That just blows my mind.
Right. The safety, the feeling of security that you know you can go to a gas station instead of having to look for an electric charger, which let's be honest, like a lot of them are offline, or a lot of people have problems with them. So, and they're definitely not as ubiquitous as gas stations in the US.
And yet, depending on what part of the country you live in, it's really difficult. And I talk about it all the time. When you talk about really dense populated areas, it's going to be a little while before electric cars are taking over. Like, you know, the automakers want them to. I think Toyota's approach to electrification is one of the ones I think other automakers are going to have to get behind and see. This, I think, is the route to make it more attainable for most people.
Yes, and the global Toyota CEO, Akio, chairman of the board, Akio Toyota, was hesitant to embrace electrification in full. You know, he said the infrastructure is not really ready. And I think he's right. You know, so I think this approach is very smart. They're also coming out with EVs in the Beyond Zero line. This is going to wear the Beyond Zero badge as well.
And I can't wait to see what the next iteration of this car will be. But let's just stick on this one for now.
Okay, now let's take a look at the inside.
That's where I want to go.
Okay. Toyota made a lot of improvements on the inside as well. I really like the way the new dash looks, the texture here. This is smooth instead of pebbled. Now, of course, this is a limited, and the 3 trims are LE?
LE, XLE, and then the limited.
Yeah, so we're in the top of the line. Absolutely. The limited's got this 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. The navigation, the map is clear. It's beautiful. It has a volume knob, but no tuning knob. I kind of miss that. It's difficult to change the channels, you know, unless you're going from favorite to favorite. But if you want to just kind of scroll or see what's out there, that's a little bit more complicated.
And you know, I have often talked about that. But however, how many of you have to go and find radio stations? Once you buy the car, you choose your stations, you got about 10 or 12 choices, and it's there. So while some of us would like to see that knob, I'm not going to ding them for that.
Fair enough. You know, but if you take a road trip and you want to scroll through FM stations, I guess it is. But maybe it's because so many people are using Sirius these days. You've got your favorites plugged in. As long as it has like 24 favorites set up, I'm good.
You know what else they have? They have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Yeah, that's
so
nice.
For people younger generation now, they stream their music. And so that way you can just stream it up anyway. You hear, you connect it to the car, and they listen to their music everywhere. They never have to worry about changing radio stations. So while I think for some generations who are accustomed to the knob, it'll be a big deal. But for the generation they're going after, and they mentioned in the meeting today, they're going after a younger buyer. They're more attuned to this touchscreen feature, and they're more connected with all these different things like the app. So I don't really see it as a problem, but I do take note of that.
I think that's a fair point. You know, we called this the granddaddy of electrification earlier, and so it's going to retain its loyalists, and that's what Toyota's trying to do, to keep its loyal fans, but it also wants to attract the younger buyers. I think the new shape will do that.
Yes.
I think this new touchscreen with the voice command calibration, I think that's really good. What I'm noticing is that there's a lot more storage space here. I like the way the cup holders are configured. It has this little tray right here with another Easter egg.
I love that.
Tell them what it says.
And it says hashtag hidden compartment.
Hashtag hidden compartment. And same in here with the wireless charger. I like the way that's situated. My phone won't slide around and I'm not looking at it, which I like. This one says hashtag wireless charger. It's kind of cheeky, which is unusual for Toyota.
But this isn't cheeky, because the fact that the phone will sit here and not move around. I know in the meeting this morning they mentioned if you take it on a track, but really just driving around, I found in so many vehicles that the phone slides around and it doesn't stay charged. This, I think, was a great adaptation. I think it was a great thumbs up for Toyota for that one.
I agree. Now we'll notice here we've got the gear shifter here instead of up here. It had like a little joystick.
Oh yeah,
I think this is more, I don't know, it's a little bit more traditional.
It is, and it gives you a place to rest your hand while you're driving.
I like that too. Now we do have the cup holders here along with 6 USB-C ports. There's no USB-A ports in this car. It's all USB-C fast chargers, which is, I think, as of recently a standard now in Europe. So it's going to be that way. Now the door pockets I think could be a little bit bigger because it's sized for single-use plastic bottles, which people are trying to get away from. So I would have liked to see the door pocket be a little bit deeper and maybe a little bit more accessible for like a cup of coffee or a reusable water bottle.
It's amazing what you look at when you talk about it with two different people.
Right?
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. It could use a little more space there. But there's a nice little place in the door for the passenger to put their phone and it's out of the way.
That's
I really like that piece too.
I like that too. What else have you noticed? I'm noticing, okay, this is kind of a big deal too. This is new for the Prius. They put the driver information display in front of the driver instead of in the center, which is always kind of odd, right?
And it eliminated the need for a heads-up display
That's true.
because it's right there in your line of sight.
I still do like a good heads-up display.
Except for on those sunny days when the light drowns it out and you can't see them.
Or if you have polarized sunglasses and you can't see it anyway. But I do like that. Now, this one of the complaints I've heard about the Prius in the past is that the wheel doesn't telescope enough. It has quite a bit of movement here. You can see up, down, and you don't really need the information at the bottom of the screen, but that might bother some people that they can't see it depending on the position of the steering wheel.
Seat position, big deal. Yeah.
Now, back seat, I feel like the back seat is big enough for grown adults. It's not super tight.
But talking about back, you mentioned something earlier. You talked about the split window being gone. And on the limited model, I like this camera because even though that the roof line does slope, all of these newer cars, because of the aerodynamics, it is going to affect your rear visibility. But this mirror doubling as a video monitor clears that up and you can see everything behind the car. I really like that feature.
I like it too. Anything else in the interior you're noticing? I think they did a pretty good job.
The seats are really comfortable. I know they told us about these seats and I don't remember what the details were, but I will say after being in this car most of the day, I feel really comfortable, fits really well. Usually I'm a little bit too wide for the seats and the side supports are in the way. I think they did a really good job on that. They made this car pretty universal.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Let's talk about our whole opinions and the drive impressions of the car. Okay, final deep thoughts on the 2023 Toyota Prius. Daryl, what do you think? Compare it to the previous generation Prius. Previous Prius. How do you like that?
I like that. So, it's really hard to compare this to the last vehicle because we only had a day to drive it. So, of course, the impressions are going to be good. But my initial thoughts are the acceleration, heads and shoulders above the previous edition. The ride quality. This vehicle feels more like a car and less like an attempt at doing something that's environmentally friendly and convenient. And then the road holding capability. When we drove through some of those roads in the mountain, I was really impressed how this vehicle stuck to the road and how I felt a sense of security driving around this car. I think they have a winner on their hands. I can't wait to see what all of them think about it.
I can't wait to hear what they think about it as well. I agree with you. I think the performance is markedly better. And I feel like it's driving, I think you said it perfectly. It's more like driving a car than a status symbol or like a quirky little Prius. It's grown up. Like this is the grown up Prius. It's going to attract the people who have been loyal to Prius for years as well as some new people, new kids on the block.
Hybrid reborn.
Can't finish it any better than that. Thanks, Daryl. We'll see you soon.
Love it.